Welcome to Psalm 102, The Discouraged. Hope in the Lord. I'll read a little at the beginning in Greek, and then we'll go into the psalm. Προσευχή το πτωχό, όταν ακηδιάσει, και εναντίον Κυρίου εκκαίει την δεήσιν αυτού. Kyrie, εισάκουσον της προσευχής μου, και η κραυγή μου προς ελθέτω. A prayer, prosevki, to the poor whenever he is discouraged. So basically, this is a psalm that has different applications in it that people are poor, down and out, discouraged. Could be any one of us. It begins with a supplication, then it goes into the condition that the person was in or the people are in, and then the cause, and then the results towards the end of the psalm. And it continues and it says, and his supplication, and you should pour out his supplication before the Lord. And a supplication is asking God. Now, the supplication is right here in verse 1. O Lord, listen to my prayer. We ask God to listen. We're not calling on him and hope just, willy-nilly and don't know if he's going to answer anything. But yet, if you say, listen, Lord, listen to me. I have problems here, and let my cry come unto you, Lord. You're up in the heavens, and I'm down here on this earth. This is not a place that is easy to live in. A lot of problems here, Lord. And listen to my prayer. Isakuson is the word. Akuson, acoustics, comes partly from that. 2, you should not turn your face from me in whichever day I should be afflicted. Lean your lean to me your ear in whichever day I should call upon you. Again, the supplication, don't turn your face from whenever I ask you for something, Lord. Like you could ask somebody here on earth, your parents or a friend or whatever, for help, and they can turn around and not help you at all. Happens all the time. And we don't want that to happen with God. So he's crying out, don't turn your face from me in whichever day I should be afflicted. Lean to me your ear in whichever day I should call upon you. And leaning the ear is like really trying to listen to somebody, what they have to say, by bending over to hear them. Pay more attention to my cry whenever I should call upon you. Quickly heed me, epakuson, and has part of the same word, the acoustics, the listening, but here more than just to listen. I can listen to somebody say help and not do anything, but to heed, that means to run and come help me quickly. For my days dissipated as smoke, and they're just going really fast. And my days are 80 years, and it's like, wow, it just keeps going faster and faster, it seems. And my bones, osta, osteoporosis, the porosity of the osta, the bone, are parched as dried sticks. And probably more of a figure of speech here, because the bones weren't really parched as a dry stick, but it's the physical problems are taking its toll on this person's body, and he looks at his bones as the things that are being affected by these problems that he's going to have. And then it says, and these are, now we get into the condition. His bones are parched, and my heart is struck down as grass and is dried up. Of course, the heart is another figure of speech, but he's feeling like he's been knocked down and nobody to help him, all by himself. And we have the hortos, grass is dried up, and the horticulture comes from that, the science of agriculture. The cardia, another derivative. So that I forgot to eat my bread. The problems are so bad, and he's just laying there and moaning and groaning more or less, and he hasn't even eaten. From the sound of my moaning, my bone cleaves to my flesh. From his moaning and the idea of shriveling up, I became like a solitary pelican. Here's the word that you can add to the English derivatives book, pelicani. That's a transliteration into English pelican, a solitary pelican, a bird all by itself. We have pelicans here on the Oregon coast, and becoming like a solitary pelican without any other pelicans around you, I suppose, would be not a good place. These birds like to stay together and fly together. And he became a solitary pelican, somebody that almost like without any help from anybody. I became as a long-eared owl in its area. The Nycti corax is a long-eared owl. A corax is a crow, and the Nycti is night. So in the Greek, it would be like a night crow, but we call them owls. I became as a long-eared owl in its area. Now, I'm not exactly sure what he means by becoming as a long-eared owl in its area, but owl is a raptor bird, goes down and grabs mice and so forth and devours them wherever he's at. I was sleepless, and I became as a sparrow living alone upon a roof. Somebody without any help of any friends or relatives, apparently, living by himself. Well, I live by myself, but as this man or person is writing here and asking God, supplicating God to help him, that's what I do too. I live by myself, but yet I'm not really alone. I have the Lord with me, inside of me, and friends that I can see and call. And all the day, my enemies berated me, and the ones praising me swore an oath against me. Now, whoever this was writing this had enemies, and the people that praised him were actually against him, wanted to stab him in the back. Many of you out there may have these problems with enemies trying to do harm to you, stab you in the back if they can. For I ate ashes as bread. Yuck. Mouthful of ashes, not enjoying the food. And my drink is being diluted with weeping. So the times are tough, and what he's eating and what he's drinking, how he can't sleep, and all of these things. And now we get in, those were the conditions. Now we get in to the cause. Because of the face of your anger and of your rage, for having lifted me up, you broke me down. Now, why was he anger? Why was God anger in his rage? It would be because only thing I could think of would be sin. And the man may have been sinning, and the results were all these different things of being by yourself and not having anybody to help, having enemies coming against you, and so forth. For my days, he says, declined as a shadow. He's grown old. and I as grass am dried up. Terrible condition. But you, O Lord, abide unto the eon, and your memorial unto generation and generation. God, he's showing here, you're here forever. I'm not. I'm only here temporarily. We are only here temporarily. But yet, God is over and over. He knows our great-great-grandfather, and he'll know our great-great-great-great-grandchildren who we'll never know. He knows everybody. He's around for many generations, or all the generations. In your rising up, you shall pity Zion. And now Zion could be also, I believe, Mount Meron in the future, but here it says Jerusalem. It's in a verse here. For it is time to pity her, for the time comes. So now this may have been written later after Zion was captured by Nebuchadnezzar. For your bondman thought well of her stones. The people that follow God thought about Jerusalem. And when they did come back with Ezra and Nehemiah, they started rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem and the temple, the stones that were knocked down. Now, her stones, I look at today, and I don't see anything being built in Israel today as far as a temple. And with the stones, they have excavations, but that's about it. But the bondmen thought well of her stones, and they shall pity her dust. Would you consider Israel today falling into that description? No, it's questionable, isn't it? And the nations shall fear the name of the Lord. Now, I don't see that as happening yet. All the kings of the earth, your glory, neither that also. All the nations aren't fearing the Lord, the name of the Lord, and that probably the opposite, going away from God into what I believe is the great defection as far as the Christians. And terrible things, I believe, are ahead of us here on the earth, but yet he is the king. He will be king of the earth, in all the kings of the earth, your glory. This is going to be sometime in the future. I believe when the return of Jesus comes, then the people will see him, and the attitude is going to be way different than the first time when they crucified him. For the Lord shall build up Zion, and he shall appear in his glory. So see, that hasn't, he did, when they could be referring to when Jesus did come in the temple of Herod and so forth, or it could be talking about a future time when he appears in his glory. He looked upon the prayer of the humble. And so that's a good place to be, is being humble. And God says he looks upon the prayer of the humble, and he did not treat their supplication with contempt. So prideful is a different attitude, and God apparently does, not apparently, but he doesn't like pride, but he wants people to be humble, help people, not to be thinking myself better than others. And therefore, if a person is humble, then he'll treat their supplication without the contempt. Let this be written for another generation. Now, what other generation is it? I sometimes think these video seminars that I'm doing here is for another generation rather than the generation right now. Not that many people watch the videos. I sometimes wonder, well, I'm doing this for just a few people. Somebody asked me, do you have very many people that watch your videos? And I said, well, not really a whole lot, no, but God watches. And that's really all that matters. If God watches, he may use the videos in the future. In a way, I have no idea of how he could do it, that it would be like what it says here, let this be written for another generation. And the people being created shall praise the Lord. And another generation, instead of a defection, will be coming towards him and wanting to know about him, and possibly Bibles will have ceased to exist more or less, like it did with, I think it was King Josiah, when then he ordered the temple to be cleansed, and they found the scroll, brought it to him, he read what the laws of Moses, realized they weren't doing any of them, and changed and had everybody go back to the law of Moses. And so I look at, well, maybe in the future, the people won't have the word, but all of a sudden it'll pop up, and I believe this is a good type of scriptures to have, where you have the original, the Greek, which was in the New Testament and used in the Old Testament by the New Testament writers. For he looked out from out of the height of his holy place. Again, we had that of 3 chapter Psalms back about his the height of where God is. The Lord looked from out of heaven upon the earth to hear the moaning of the ones being shackled, slaves and people in jail, to untie the sons of the ones being killed. So now a lot of people are being killed. And I'm sure a lot of people were, where is this help? We're still shackled, and we're being killed. I would imagine as many of the Jews at the time of the so-called German Holocaust felt that way. Where's God? And he's to announce in Zion the name of the Lord, and his praise in Jerusalem. So Zion here is tied into Jerusalem. Now, could have been at the time of Nebuchadnezzar when the people were taken. In the assembling of the people together and kings to serve to the Lord. It shall be answered by him in the way of his strength. And that is what we have. We have a God that does have the strength to solve all of our problems, but we have to go through a test. Jesus went through the test, even though God could have taken him away. And Jesus asked if it was a will that not to go through the pain and the suffering and of death and everything that he went through. But he said, not my will, but yours be done. So even though God has the ability, it doesn't mean it's in his will. It's kind of difficult there, because it's like, well, you think if somebody has the ability to help me in a certain way, but they don't, they let me just flounder, well, that's not very good. But with God, he has a purpose. And I believe the purpose is for us, the best thing for us. We may not see it at the time, but we'll see it in the long run. Then he announced to me the fewness of my days. We're not here long on earth. You should not lead me away in half of my days. Your ears are in generation of generations. I'm only here for a short period of time, and don't take away half of my days. Let me finish the things that I have to do for you. And he's asking God. Then he goes into this quotation that was used in the New Testament. I'll jump to the New Testament and show you, and then we'll go back and we'll see how it was used. But it says in Hebrews 1:8, he's comparing Jesus to the angels. Now, he already did with the angels, but he says, but to the Son, saying, and there's a quotation of Psalms right here at the beginning, 45, your throne, O God, into the eon of the eon. A rod of uprightness is the rod of your kingdom. I'm sorry, I messed up here. But to the Son, saying, your throne, O God. Okay, so now, see, it's about the Son, about Jesus. This is what it's showing. But you don't see that in the Old Testament, in the Psalm. But your throne, O God, and that would be Jesus, into the eon of the eon. We know that from the New Testament. It's a rod of uprightness is the rod of your kingdom. You loved righteousness and detested lawlessness. On account of this, God, your God, anointed you with oil of exaltation above your partakers. Now, that wasn't that part there. I'm sorry. This was the part that was in Psalms. Now we get to where we're at in this Psalm 102. So it shows it's talking about Jesus, where he quotes in Psalms, God, your God, anointed you with the oil of exaltation, Jesus. And then it continues, and saying, you, according to beginnings, O Lord, and that would be Jesus, laid a foundation of the earth, and the works of your hands are the heavens. And I just had someone talk to me yesterday, and not a believer, but they started looking at these videos on the Hubble telescope and a new James Webb telescope that's going to be shot up into space to look at outer space and to go very far out. And he was looking and seeing all these planets and stars and just billions of them. And here we have this one little spot. We have water and animals, people living on it, beautiful. And he said, well, how can anybody see all this and not believe in a God? And that person never said that before, so that was good. So God has done these things with his hands. They will perish, but you abide. And it says that the heavens and the earth will perish, but then a new heaven and a new earth will appear. And all as a garment will grow old, and as a wraparound garment, you will coil them or roll them up. So something's going to happen in the future that the elements in the heavens will be changed, and they will be changed. But you are the same, and your years will not cease. And so we know that God goes on and on. He's been from the beginning. He's going to continue. And so this is our God. We know the things about him, and it's wonderful to have a God that's in control of all of the universe. I don't know of any other religions that have that. And then here's what it quoted at the beginning: you, O Lord, laid a foundation of the earth, and the works of your hands are the heavens. They will perish, but you abide, and all as a garment will grow old, and as a wraparound garment you will coil them, and they will be changed. But you are the same, and your years shall not cease. And it's relating to Jesus. The sons of your bondmen shall encamp, and their seed shall conduct matters into the eon. And we are the seed of Jesus, and we will conduct matters into the eon, he says. In New Jerusalem, I don't know what matters we're going to be conducting, but it's going to be exciting, I'm sure. That gives me hope, knowing that all the problems on this earth, and like, oh, wow, somehow we will be conducting the things, and they'll change if Christians are conducting the whole matter rather than governments and non-believers and so forth. Psalm 103, next psalm. Bless the Lord, O my soul. It was a wonderful song. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. Well, we'll find out about that in Psalm 103. Hope you join us. Till then, God bless.